Check, testing audio for cats podcast.
How are you feeling today? Your head's
Better.
a little better?
Yeah, it's a
He
little better.
took a big.
Meeting of the Monroe County Redevelopment Commission. Jeff, would you please call the roll?
Commissioner Martin,
Present.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Present.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Here.
Commissioner Shelton,
Present.
is Commissioner Tucker or Commissioner McCarty. They do not appear to be in the room or,
Cardi's on there.
okay. Commissioner McCarty,
I believe it's all Cardi. Okay, all right. I don't know where he gets his sound from here or from up there.
Is he online?
Pardon?
He is not.
Okay, all right.
okay, so he is not present.
Okay, he's not.
So we do have a quorum.
Okay. All right, first item on our agenda is a discussion regarding the site plan for the ABB major subdivision. We have a letter from Steve Smith. Or no, this is a letter from Jackie Nestor to Steve Smith outlining some conditions that the Plan Commission was interested in, or issues that Plan Commission was interested in. And and then we have the reminder that there was a request to make sure that the road frontage there was consistent with the Redevelopment Commission's plans for the area, since we deal with development on both sides of the highway in that area. If you'll recall, we had this discussion with the Cook folks when we were splitting out those two lots into a separate TIF district. Jeff, you want to take it from there?
Yes, and if the TSD would go ahead and put up that display.
I don't know.
Well. And so these are the plans, and I could not print them off because my printer would only print a quarter of the picture, so. These are the plans that they are going to do. I discussed it with the Kathy Stein, I think is her last name. Katie Stein, excuse me. These meet all the current conditions in the planning requirements and that for the streetscape. I do believe Richard's right, is that this is put in there because of what we believed we're going to see at the GE property, so that it would match up with that. I think, as we're all aware, that property has not developed in the manner that we expected it to. So if you could go to the next slide.
Is that basically the site plan that you just showed us?
This is the packet of information, which includes where they're going to place items, and then their site plan as well. I guess we could just kind of scroll through them, and if you have questions with any of the diagrams, more than happy to stop there and see if we can.
Closer to, I can't hear you.
No, I'm sorry. So they're planning to put a facility there, and I think what we're looking at is the roadway along the edges, and so it will have, all the amenities that are required under planning. So
Where's the roadway?
it is the Profile Parkway extension.
Oh, so it goes on to the back of that property, right?
No, this
Their
is,
development would be coming, their drive comes off of,
Say that again?
their driveway comes off Profile Parkway, the new piece of Profile,
Oh,
but
okay. Well, I didn't remember that.
it meets all of our requirements, and Paul, our engineer,
But I
so.
don't understand this completely.
Just to verify location in regards to this, this would be the southeast corner of the intersection of Profile Parkway and Curry.
Correct.
yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I couldn't tell specifically when I was looking at this. Have they got it bermed along Curry? It doesn't look like it. So it's going to be, there'll be a small surface lot along Curry. Then there'll be a large building. Is that correct? And then, given their nature of their business, there'll be equipment parked behind that building or to the east of that building. And then there's another building farther over, which is for some other.
So
Purpose
something
of things.
is coming down. Is that what you're saying?
There is nothing on that site at this point.
All right.
There is nothing on the site currently as far as structure.
Then when was that all taken?
Yeah, it's all empty lots. This is all new, McAllister. Yeah, it's been empty for many years.
Yeah.
And then with the new roadway, this company filed the petition to
I remember
locate.
As you drive in from Curry, that was a big lot to the left and to the back. That's all parking. So they'll take that big building down.
Yeah, yeah, there's some parking still. There's parking north, I think, of Profile Parkway, but
Take a look at it.
yeah.
Right, there's no building on this lot now.
No, this is the this particular lot was the closest one to the previous Westinghouse building or ABB building.
Right.
And it's been,
I remember those, I've been at the lot, not in the last 4 or 5 months. But before that, I've been at that. couple of times.
So this is north of the storage buildings. There's some storage buildings there. And then this is north of that up to Curry, up to Profile Parkway.
Okay.
Okay. As I recall, the plan for west side of this was to do some refurbishing or maybe removal of the administration building for Westinghouse to spiff it up a bit
Wasn't that on Curry?
and on Curry. And then do a streetscape in there, which was vegetative, I believe. Sidewalk, that kind of stuff. I don't think there was anything unusual about that streetscape from that plan. They were kind of unknown about how they were going to redo the front of the buildings, but the building the buildings were going to sit the way they were as far as I knew. So on this side, the other thing was that there would be on the west side, there would be no parking at the building itself. They have a stockpile of sand and gravel now where the railroad cars used to back in there
well, that's in the General Electric side.
on the General
That's
Electric
the
side,
General
on
Electric
the
side.
west side.
Yeah, on the west side.
Right, which is, I mean, our objective here is to not end up with a great discontinuity between the west side and the east side of the road going up Curry Pike. And we just want to make sure that this plan is consistent with that concept for the development of that corridor. So there are then, I believe, one of these drawings that I saw had tree plantings along both Curry Pike and Profile
So where's Curry on here?
on top.
Okay,
So
our next question.
this is Curry Pike over here.
Oh, that's what I thought. All right,
So there is
so we're looking east side,
there's no entrance from
Curry,
Curry. There's an entrance off of Profile in this area.
okay, got it.
So they've got, this is administrative parking.
Right,
This is their administrative and storage, and whatever, this is probably a machinery shed.
is that still there?
Or-
Because I don't remember seeing that the last time I was out there.
These buildings are not there,
Okay,
they're not there. Do you have the other one that has the cheapskate one?
Let me run up and it should have all of them.
Yeah.
Lisa, you've reviewed the site distances.
Yeah,
all of the
so
Necessary.
and all of these developments, our engineer, our project manager for any of the right-of-way permits, driveway permits. They're completely involved from beginning to end for these developments, so.
So from a
Yeah.
preliminary plat standpoint, highways position and MS4 is
Yep.
satisfied. in regards
Yeah.
to what the conditions
They're all involved in these developments, absolutely.
are. Is there any is there any particular issues that are outstanding on this?
Not
plat?
that it's been brought to my attention, no.
I think they've got everything taken care of. It's just, does it, from our perspective, does the east side and the west side look similar enough?
Yeah, we want
Certainly.
continuity.
Right.
As well.
On the west side, we've got a very big tall building. This building they're gonna put up, I'm sure, is 2-3 stories tall. So that it's gonna look rather similar. The fact that they're moving it away from the road will keep it from looking like a tunnel effect,
Mhm.
because the one Cook building is pretty much right up to the
Right.
easement on the road. I just wanted to check, to make sure about sidewalk, street trees, and any berming they might do. This might be it. Is that what they're talking about tree wise? Doesn't,
This is the landscape.
there we go. Okay,
This is, sheet 16 for landscaping.
right,
So you can see the tree plantings and everything along there.
right. And so the open areas that are not shown as grass. That one.
What's our elevation look like, Richard?
So this is all grass in here then?
From what I can tell, it should be. Because they just have the one drive coming off profile.
One drive. They're gonna do something over there at some point. This is McAllister, so are they gonna do their rental out here?
Mhm. I believe so, yeah. Of course, master rental is
So is this?
on down.
So, two parts of that. One, you've got an administrative
Mhm.
office here. Then you've got where you put all that equipment that you're renting. Question is, there's no pad here for that equipment. Are they planning on putting all that inside?
I'm guessing maybe this is phase one. If they have. I haven't seen future plans or the next.
Where does the equipment? Well, I want to make sure that we don't end up with parking.
Right.
No, I,
You want to avoid that, right?
yeah. And that's something that we can make sure that moving forward, that is a concern of the RDC board for the equipment storage.
You don't want to have the equipment outside, is that what you're saying?
We don't want it parked in any grass area along Curry Pike and administrative parking.
Right. Is it necessary to ensure that, is that on the plat itself, or is that a condition which?
So I'm pretty, I think this has a little ways to go. I don't think it's been in front of the plan commission meeting that I've been at. So that is one thing that I can send an email to our planning department. And employees in our department to make sure, and the design group, Katie, to make sure that that was a concern for the equipment storage.
Does this have to go in front?
So we do see planning, we do see some kind of, I don't know, that boxwood. Hard to tell what the way they put the symbols on there, but it's not quite clear what this planning is.
So Richard, just to be
If
clear,
it meets our requirements,
As long as it meets, yes,
then
right.
it could be whatever they
Okay.
want to do that meets the requirements.
And I will stress that in an email to planning. Copy Jeff and everybody that was part of the discussion here today.
Copy us on it.
okay, so the main objective that we're looking for is continued continuity in regards to the visual landscape, the visual view of Curry Pike. And that we don't maintain a canyon effect. And that there's not equipment and other items in between the Curry Pike and the administration building or department.
I should be able to get an email, probably response tomorrow to answer some of those concerns, and I'll forward them
Well,
along.
make some commitments for us on several lots.
So Jeff, moving forward in regards to this, what exactly are we needing to act, do, and identify in order to?
Well, they're required to consult with us pursuant to their planning.
Okay.
Information. And I think they've provided us a lot of information. I think if we have concerns, which it sounds like we have a few, we will get with the designer and the planning department to make sure they know what those concerns are. We'll let you know what the resolution of those concerns are.
Yep.
I think it says that they're to consult with us, and I think they've met
Yes, I think so.
that burden.
Do you
Or is
need,
there any time constraint on us giving them an answer, or can we wait till we get some more information?
I'm sorry, I couldn't.
Say it again, Steve.
Do we have to decide today, or can we wait and get answers, especially on where they're going to have the equipment, before we say it's okay with us? Or do we need, or is there some kind of hurry to get this done?
I don't know if there's a hurry to get this done. I think their requirement was to consult, and that we're giving them feedback. And so I think it's part of a conversation. And
Okay,
if they address those questions in a way that we find satisfactory or at least responsive, I think that they've met that burden. I think we can, depending on what their response is, we can bring this back at the next meeting. But as long as their responses fulfills or alleviates the concerns, I think we would have at the next meeting just a statement with
Yeah.
that.
yeah, and I don't think we have a yay or nay say in
No.
this.
okay.
So just consultation in regards
Yeah.
to. feedback.
Yes,
Okay, quick question.
Well, it looks to me like it fits in that area so long, I mean, this matches what's on the west side of Curry to me. So long as we don't have them parking big equipment along Curry Pike or even along Profile, really.
yeah,
That's-
yeah, I don't remember anything in any of the presentations from Cook that they had any intent of putting anything large there. They did put in the parking lot south of the building. They've been slowly working on the building itself. They've got the borrow pile from inside that they have been slowly taking down, and they did remove the electric station, which was on the corner of Profile and Curry. So they've done as much of what they had planned as was prudent at the time, given the economic circumstances they ended up in. So I think we're fine with it going forward. You have a list of questions of things that we want to do.
I'd like to ask that
Like-
information, because I really don't have a good picture of what is being proposed.
Yeah.
I do have one question or two additional questions in regards to, as we look up here at number 7, as far as stormwater facilities.
Yeah,
While we're looking at the petitioner to write covenants for our planning department for the stormwater, when we look at the long-term effects of stormwater, what is this will be held to the individuals that own all of the lots, because the drainage will be a common drainage.
good question.
Yeah, it's common drainage. There are 2 ponds. There's one north of what's the avenue that runs on the south side? It's Johnson. Jonathan. There's one on the north side, and then there's another one on the south side as well. And these are pre-existing from the at the time it was an ABB property when Westinghouse was there.
Absolutely. The
Right.
reason I asked this question in regards to the drainage aspect of it, where we put the covenants and restrictions in to make the owners and in perpetuity take care of it. Is there ever any consideration of utilization of a sinking fund that the lot owners would pay into, so that as regional stormwater maintains it, but it still has the funds in order to do it in a long-term basis? Because as we know from previous circumstances, as time goes on, people forget, and private individuals either don't have the knowledge or the financial capacity to do it in order to ensure that those structures are taken care of, as Iris had indicated, from a flooding standpoint on it.
To my knowledge, nothing has ever been set up that I'm aware of, that there's a fund out there that is governed by lot owners, except if you run into like an HOA. But when we run into We've run into issues with that when you do have even an HOA. The houses sell, people move, people don't pay the HOA fees. We have not looked into that. And then I guess you'd also have to think about in relation that we already collect a stormwater fee. Of tacking on another cost. I guess that would have to be something that would be looked into and a group thing with all those
Not
lot
looking at
owners.
long-term, not looking at an individual thing for a continual perpetual thing,
Uh-huh.
but as we sell lots and as we redevelop things. And we look at how we're going to take care of, underground detention and these other things. Part of the government entity is if we can put a sinking fund or something that's dedicated for those rebuilding of the structures long-term. Then we don't have that continuation of the fee. We're able to build those finances long-term.
I don't think it's an avenue we've looked into. However, I do think that we've come a long way, especially development on this west side of our specifications, our plan reviews, what's required. And then we also, we look outside of that area. We look at the whole watershed and how it's going to affect that. So as an additional fee, probably, no, we have not looked into that, but I do think that we're more aware of how these lots as they develop.
Well, not just specifically here.
Yeah,
As we,
yeah.
as we look at these lots, what we have.
We need to make a record, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
That's a problem. In order to pay attention to that and work with.
Correct.
That
Correct.
or some kind of.
Well, and no additional fees. I'm just talking in the current situation, so there's adequate dollars.
Well, and I'm not even saying additional fees, but I don't think it's out of the question that you look at different structures of the current stormwater fee also. We have straight fees out there, and then some areas are based on the pavement area, basically.
Impervious coverage.
Yes, that was the word I was looking for. Thank you, Richard. So I think that's something that we've wanted to take a look at. It went for a 10-year period of not being addressed. Then we increased the stormwater fee, and now I think it's something that we still need to look at and improve moving forward to address these types of issues.
Cost issue based upon what it takes to retain the water.
Yeah.
It's, Lake Monroe is a water retention. area.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay, that takes care of concern that. And
Okay.
then the written commitment, and you'll forgive me for my ignorance from this, the written commitment to
Number
not,
one,
I'm sorry, number 11.
okay.
The written commitment to not build the eastern portion of proposed lot 7 for 5 years. Purpose of future connections to Sunrise.
Where is that? There's lots 7.
We're not looking at lot 7.
Right.
Lot 7, I believe, is the lot, and I think actually when this was done, after this was done, we did that swap where we gave up some of the right of way we had acquired for a Jonathan Drive connection
Right.
for this area. For the area in lot 7 that allows us that, so we have that right of way for that portion of the Vernal Pike Connector Road.
Well, and reason I asked that, I understand the time frame. It's just a matter when we hit a 5-year time frame, and we've set this in writing, whether it be through our planning commission or in our consultation with them discussing it. What time frame does that actually start? Or is it just 5 years?
Yeah.
Is it from the time of final platting? Is it from the time of?
I think it would be from the November of 2019 would be the
2018.
19. But I believe that we've resolved that. The point of that was that we knew we were going to do this project. We did not want them to build something where we knew we were going to want the property. And I think we've acquired that property at this point.
Not sure that commitment is really needed at this point, but that will be something else I will question.
Something to record though.
Yes.
Well, that was the
Okay,
question I was
intentions.
looking
Yeah.
at, regards to not to hamper any redevelopment of it based upon a time frame when that starts, so everybody is aware.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Somebody starts dating and someone says, oh, you can't do that.
5 years. 5 years is.
5 years.
Okay.
Still.
All right, moving on.
So,
We have resolution 2023-005 pledging the Fullerton Pike TIF. I will recall your attention to the minutes for, what month was that? For April, where we had talked about this briefly, and this resolution is a result of that discussion that has to do with the outstanding TIF. Whoops, wait a minute.
That was on the April 19th.
No, it was, I've got the wrong one. Oh. Yeah, it's on April 19th. It was the in the second point, bullet point number 2, paragraph number 1. Okay, Jeff, you want to tell us about this resolution?
Yes, this resolution, and I think as a preamble, the county council has done the approvals. They are that are needed for them to issue this bond. This resolution is a redevelopment pledging essentially 50% of the TIF revenue from the Fullerton Pike TIF towards the bond obligations, and the remaining portion of that will come from the major bridge fund. Again, the project associated there, and I need to want to be fairly lead. Primary project for this is to finish off the Fullerton Pike Bridge project, which is essentially part of phase 3 of the Fullerton Pike project, which is this TIF's major purpose is to complete that. In this, you'll also notice that a secondary project, which is the Mount Tabor Bridge project, is what we will utilize any funding over and above what is required for the Fullerton Pike TIF project. So we've talked with bond counsel, we've talked with the financial advisors to make sure that we're not running into any trouble with utilizing the TIF fund, because that bridge is outside the TIF district. And that's part of the reason we have the 50% in there, because we truly believe there's no danger that this won't cost at least half that much.
Right, but it is serving the TIF area, so that's how we get the nexus for becoming involved. Okay. How did we end up with 50%?
Well, the 50% is based primarily upon the caveat that if some of the money isn't spent towards the major bridge of Fullerton Pike, which is physically connected to the TIF district and goes to the Mount Tabor Bridge Road, that we aren't pledging, you guys aren't pledging more than would be required. Again, you are pledging that if you guys made the decision to do 100% of the TIF funds towards that, and it was eligible for that based upon where the actual proceeds went, then that would leave you guys open to be able to do that.
But this would not preclude us from spending more than 50% of our.
No.
Okay, so we're committing up to 50%, but we have the option of contributing more if we have it available.
Yes.
Okay, all right. Yeah, this would be a resolution we would have to approve and vote on. What was on item 4B? There's a note about 135% of the maximum annual interest and principal that was necessary. This was had to do with how much we could pledge for other obligations.
I believe what this is saying, that in order for you to pledge to do a second bond, your revenue has to be over 135% of your pledge. And since your pledge is only 50%, I think by definition, you'll probably be able to reach that. But I also think that the 135% mark is there to protect the bond holder so that you don't obligate money twice.
Right. Okay. So we are committing 50%. We could issue a bond for the other 50%, provided we had 135% of that excess coming in. So that we were protecting our bond, the bond holders of the second bond.
I think this is purely for protecting the bondholders of this bond. And
Okay.
I guess I would just,
Oh, for this bond.
yes, for this bond. So
Okay.
you have to have the ability after the second bond to make sure your revenues are still 135% of the obligation, right?
Okay.
I would just remind you that unless there is a secondary source of payment, it would be very hard to recommend issuing any bond based on
Right.
this TIF district's revenue because of the volatility of the major
Right.
taxpayers.
Okay.
Namely that if the hospital went not for profits, then the
And,
revenue would.
right.
would go
And do you
down.
recall the number of years left in that TIF now? This is going to be about a 10-year, 15 years left.
I think it was done in 2007. And so I think it would be 12.
It'll be about 12 years left.
My. Wait. My math is a little sketchy,
Okay,
but
that's close enough.
So
All right.
One question on this bond.
Go ahead.
How would it affect the bond and the process if there was more funds allocated through federal dollars? Between this point and moving forward?
I think the thing that would be affected, again, it wouldn't affect this bond necessarily. What the question would be if the additional federal dollars made it so that it wasn't, that the 50% that it has been pledged towards this project would be more than the amount of proceeds from this bond going to the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So if we're issuing an $8 million bond, roughly speaking, 4 million of this bond should go towards this project. In order for that math to work out. I'm not a financial advisor, so I'm sure it's a lot more complicated than that.
no. Long story short, 50% of whatever the Fullerton Pike generates, we're gonna pledge towards the debt service of an $8 million bond.
Correct.
Yes.
Okay?
Right.
Of that $8 million bond, is because it serves the TIF area, we're able to legislatively and legally commit that 50%.
Correct.
Because it serves the, now, as when we get into the cumulative bridge fund where we're helping to fund the bond, part of that is the Mount Tabor Bridge project.
Well, the Mount Tabor Bridge project is solely in that with the optimism that the bids will come in somewhat lower than we need the 8 million to cover.
Okay.
I don't think in any realm, we think that's going to be anywhere close to 50%. But we wanted to make sure that we had something in the bond ordinance that would allow us to spend that money on a different project if the optimistic view that the Fullerton Pike Bridge project was going to come in under the estimates.
Okay, so when we're looking at this bond issue, cost issue and funding, the Fullerton Pike Bridge project is the first one.
Correct.
And then related left revenues will be allocated towards the Mount Tabor Bridge project.
Right.
That's what I thought.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Our commitment is based upon, in the TIF district of the Fullerton Pike, is based on the fact that it serves the Fullerton Pike TIF.
That the Fullerton Pike project serves the Fullerton Pike TIF.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's the method we're using.
Right.
Okay, now, as we look towards this $8 million bond that's been approved by the council, this is just additional funding because that bond won't be able to be covered going even 50% of it by the Fullerton Pike TIF's revenues.
I would say we're structuring the bond and I don't have the payment. We're structuring the bond so that the first 4 years, the bond payments are greater than in the remaining years of the debt.
Okay.
So we're structuring it so for the first 4 years, I can definitely say, yes, the major bridge fund is going to have the lion's share. After that, maybe, maybe not. I would say 50% of the TIF will not cover it, but it might be closer to reasonable.
And and I understand now how this resolution is working. The next question I have in regards to, given the Fullerton Pike TIF district and where it is, and if we're connecting now a major road, is there an allocate or is there consideration to extend the Fullerton Pike TIF or expand it in order to capture additional revenue into that?
I'm not aware
Well, there's not. I'm
of
I'm
that.
aware of it.
No.
No.
Is that a consideration?
I think that is, if it's a consideration, if the redevelopment commission feels it should be, right? I think that you guys have the duty to look at those kind of areas and see if the reasons for creating a TIF exist in areas within the county. And then I think if you guys determine that, then we talk to the commissioners, we talk to the plan commission, and then it comes back to you guys for a final decision. I'm not sure in that area whether there is ample vacant ground around where the TIF district is. That makes it a practical consideration to expand the TIF district.
The reason I say that, as we look at that Fullerton Pike particular area and we make this major road connection, whose Lisa's done a phenomenal job planning. And that will be a major east-west connection. Those revenues that potentially would come in from those developments, as it develops from 69 towards Walnut Street. If that money was captured in the TIF.
Well, we already captured everything to Rockport Road. Everything to Rockport Road is already in the TIF.
Right, and then it stops and Gordon Pike extension on down.
Right, but there isn't much.
Well, the reason I ask that is the 80 acres and the empty, is that already inclusive in the TIF? Where we're looking at potentially putting the jail,
That is in city limits.
city limits,
Yes.
never mind, we'll move on.
Yep.
And I believe it was originally in the TIF district.
Thank you.
I remember Monroe Hospital being discussed over the years. So yeah, I knew the TIF went that far out, but yeah.
Yes.
city.
So any extension of the TIF would end up having to be on the south side
Yes,
of Gordon Pike
I think that's right.
down
Yes.
to, okay,
Yeah, because I think west is,
already in the city of London. Okay.
Yeah.
Or under its jurisdiction.
The
oh,
north side.
the north side. of it.
North.
I am trying to think what's west of
And if they have
that.
their way, and if they have their way, it'll be the south side too.
Okay, that
All right.
answers that question. Thank you.
Okay.
Motion,
We would need a motion to adopt this resolution.
I move we adopt this resolution.
2022-05, pledging certain tax and revenue to the payment of the Monroe County Rich. Is that correct?
Yep. Okay, Iris moves. Jim, you want a second?
I second.
Okay. We have a motion and a second to adopt resolution number 2305 regarding the Fullerton Pike TIF. Would you read the roll, please? Take a vote.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton.
Yes,
Motion is approved 4-0.
What title did you call it? Because you mentioned something. It's the, what TIF?
Fullerton.
It is Fullerton.
Yes.
Yes.
I just want to make sure that I'll talk in the same language.
Okay, next up is residential TIF discussion. Has not been a lot of activity. Jeff and I have reached out to one of the major landowners north of Arlington Road and have gotten no response back. So we don't know whether we're reaching the right person or whether no response is what they are interested in or what we should do.
I did have a fairly lengthy initial conversation with her about, hey, we want to talk to you and that, and then I know she indicated she was going on vacation. So I think maybe a second bite at that apple is necessary at this point.
Yeah, I'm not sure we're going to make much progress on this at this point. I think it really is going to depend upon how we end up dealing with the areas south of Arlington Road and
Mhm.
whether or not we've got an opportunity to actually change that TIF district around and take part of it and make it into a residential TIF. Yeah,
There were
here's,
several people who talked to me after, farther down the line, who were very frustrated because of the gentleman coughing, one. And two, that we didn't have a mic that people could talk into so more people could understand what was being said.
yeah,
And they're obviously very much concerned about drainage in there. They always have, they have been for many years.
right.
And I think we need to do some more talking.
I think we got better response than we anticipated.
Yeah, and people are more aware now because we have. several
Yes,
people who
we are certainly more aware of.
Residents who are also interested. And they'll be harassing me for a long time.
I found it interesting that we had neighbors, one of which got a card about the meeting and one of which didn't. So our notification process that we use doesn't seem to be getting all of the people that need to get
Right.
identified somehow.
I don't think we have a complete list of all the residents.
Well, I think what we do is we notice people based upon the tax records.
Yeah.
And there are people who need to get noticed who are not on the tax records.
Right, okay,
And we need to figure out a way to do that better, probably.
must be able to do that.
But the overall response from a public standpoint was very well and was attended
Mhm.
extremely
I
well.
think they're all very worried.
And putting it into a venue that provided close proximity for those residents.
I think that's good.
Was very accommodating.
Yeah.
Seemed to go well.
Yeah.
How would everybody feel about additional follow-up meeting in the next month or two in order to continue those discussions? Because as we look at the recording and such, we do identify that there was one gentleman of ill health that did have an overwhelming effect on listening to it being discussed.
So I don't know
And
that
the
there's
public.
anything we can do in the short term to move anything forward. I mean, I think a lot of what was talked about were planning and zoning issues that we can't really address. We can make the planning department aware of them.
Mhm.
But there's nothing that we specifically can do with respect to them. At this point, I think we need to finish up the project we've got and see where we stand at that point.
Where do we fall into as a redevelopment commission, these issues that we come up as we're discussing TIF districts, residential TIFs and things of that nature? It all plays into public infrastructure and the problems that occur and how we redevelop things into the proper.
Well, I think that's what people want to know is what the process is. Do we pay for the infrastructure that goes into that area? And what area do we say we'll follow or not? But I don't think they understand any of that.
And I think there's really two different
Pardon?
questions, right? I think when we were, and I think I thought this from when we were talking with at the meeting with the neighborhood and the people who live in the area, is I think they know what their local infrastructure needs are, regardless of TIF district or not. So I think, that's one issue. And I think they were focused on that. And they were focused on, I thought they were extremely focused on things north of Arlington. I thought for the most part, if you were south of Arlington, my impression was that they were much more comfortable with the residential expansions there.
Right.
I think they were questioning lot sizes and, would I live there? Yes or no, which plays into their second big concern is that they feel that the neighborhoods north of that have a character that they like. And their fear was that really twofold. One is that any large development there would change the character, but it would also exacerbate a lot of their, kind of area infrastructural needs. So, I got the impression from that group is that, north of Arlington is going to take a lot more work, a lot more understanding of what the environmental issues are, what the current needs are, and then demonstration how the TIF could help with their current needs while not necessarily harming how they see their community. Or I think most of them thought south of Arlington was far enough away from where they were that it wasn't really going to affect, and they see the corridor between Ellisville and Bloomington as somewhere that things are going to develop. So I guess my feeling was that I thought it was a pretty positive if you focused on basically what's currently in the North Park TIF, or State Road 46 Economic Development Corridor. Sorry, we had a long conversation about this probably 5 or 6 years ago, how we need to refer to all of them by the same name. And then, but when you got further north of that was going to be much more of a community conversations where we need to answer their questions, and we need to help them understand the benefits as well as what they see as the burdens of that kind of development.
Conversations to be continued for a future time.
Yeah.
And we got more information.
Yeah. Well, no,
I just think it's gonna take.
it's gonna take a while. And we may be that the current TIF will be gone and there'll be a new TIF after that.
Well, I've always had concerns with the size of that expanded TIF district, and that, you know, it's not like a commercial TIF district where things can get built out fairly quickly, and with residential, you're going to build out infrastructure and then homes are going to come, but they're not going to come at the same pace as, say, what happened when Cook developed at the west side. Is, you know, they built a building, and then yes, they expanded after that, but that first building provided a pretty good amount of revenue, and especially with the GE personal property with that TIF district from day one, really provided a lot of the revenue that went to build the other things. And you're just not going to see that kind of anchor with single family residential.
Yeah. Okay.
It'll take a while.
Yep. All right. Next item, minutes. We have 3 minutes, March, April, and May.
If I may, I would like to move that we accept the minutes for the March 2nd meeting, and for the April 19th meeting, and the May 17th meeting.
Okay,
And that's March 22nd,
What?
March 22nd.
Oh, sorry.
yes, March 22nd.
You see, I didn't have that on my list. Why not?
22nd,
I'll put that in there.
19th, 17th.
March 22nd, isn't it?
Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any seconds?
I don't have that on my list. Did you not send it to me?
Should be 3 of them there.
Got it?
I read it. That's what the problem is. I didn't see it on, I didn't see it on my email, so. I usually read them, and then I make marks. Make a note on my.
It's the longest one because it was the one, it was the one where we had the reports from Veritas. So we went over all those.
things. If I have not put it down on my list, that's bad.
Okay.
Okay. But I'll put it on the list of approving. Any corrections? I didn't find any.
No,
I didn't read this one, honestly.
You need to call the roll.
And so we've got a motion in a second. You want a roll call, Richard?
yep, need a roll call.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes,
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes,
Commissioner Shelton.
Yes,
Motion is approved 4-0.
okay. Next up are claims. We have claims totaling $638,381.49. They have to do with our condemnation on the Vernal Pike connector, some inspection work, some tree removal on the Vernal Pike connector, The annual reports, and then bond payments, which are the significant amount here. So this is our mid-year bond payment that will occur. Do you have anything to add?
Don't think so, unless you have any
Okay.
questions.
There is a voluminous packet of supporting information for all of these. Including details on which trees were removed and how much that cost us. And the various bond payments that are being made. We are paying off redevelopment bond for 2000, or making a payment on the redevelopment bond for 2013, 2015, and 2020.
And I believe you were correct. I believe that is the last payment for our 2013 bond.
Well, which one? I can't even.
The 2013, I believe that is the last payment, but I'll double check that with
Right.
the auditors. It's either that one or the next one.
Paying things up.
And then we've got
They removed some trees.
Was that in conjunction with the work you're doing or?
Correct.
We've had so much bad weather. I don't know what's.
Yeah, no, that was,
Possible.
yeah, that was for the project.
all right. Jeff, I have a question about the Monroe County GO 22. Does that belong in our packet?
It does not.
I didn't think so.
I don't.
Oh,
It's in the packet, but it's not part of what we need to deal with. We've got 20 redevelopment 20 bonds, which are 290,806.25. We've got redevelopment 2015, which is 96,811.25, and redevelopment 2013, which is 186,850. So that other one, which is in our packet, does not belong to us.
That's the one that you're talking about, that's one food, the solar that's at the bottom. That's all in our packet.
Yeah, but you need to, on this packet, this doesn't belong, but the following page does. So I need to put it back here in order. Because there is a Hunter Valley 112. Where does this one come in? All right, so after that one that we don't pay, there is another one, which is Monroe County Eco 21 Hunter Valley. Now, isn't that the current bond that we've got for development of Hunter Valley? Where there's a commercial loan payment due?
Is that the Webster?
That's,
Because that one should not be in this packet either. I apologize. You don't see that one.
right, and then there's the Webster, which is. The Webster doesn't belong here either?
No,
It doesn't belong here.
but I also believe it's not included.
Just to clarify, these particular pages that are in the packet that aren't inclusive, that doesn't, they're not included totally.
No,
So our commitment that we're looking to vote on this evening's obligations is the correct amount.
Is the correct amount. Yes, these other pages don't belong in our packet. All right,
Well, in that case, I move approval of the claims totaling $638,381.49.
okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Everything else though, it's in our packet.
with 3 on that.
Yes, so this will be a motion to approve the claims for Yasmin Stump. $5,334, DLZ, $583.92, Bluestone Tree, $48,379.07. Indiana Railroad, $1,017. Financial Services Group, $7,500. And Old National Bank, $575,567.50. for a total of $638,381.49. Please call the roll.
Commissioner Martin,
Yes.
Commissioner Cassidy,
Yes.
Commissioner Kiesling,
Yes.
Commissioner Shelton.
Yes,
Motion is approved 4-0.
I did not check to see if that was correct for the rest of it. Let's see, I'm assuming they are.
Be a Scribner's error if it's not. All right. Next on our agenda is the staff comment. You want to go first?
Yep, I'll keep this brief.
Good.
One of the reasons why I brought up the question is about federal funding is because you never know when you're going to work another deal. So as of last Friday, I worked out some additional funding for the Vernal Pike Connector Road. That goes to rebid in November or in December. After we bid it the first time in February, it was unawardable due to the cost of the project, which was, I want to say 13,700,000, just off the top of my head,
Right.
roughly. So that will go to letting in December. I spoke with NDOT. I gave them a number last Thursday, Friday of 1.9 million, that if it bid came back in at 13.7, this is what we would need to bring that to an 80-20 split. They have committed to doing that, but we will not do a new contract for that until we see the bid in case it would come up a little bit higher or lower, but they will bring the funding up to the full 80-20 split once that's bid. I know we've had concern on the west side tip cash flow, but this should take care of
Well, but we still have
that
to,
issue.
still got to do our increment up to get to our 20% too, so.
Yep, and I don't foresee an issue with
Yeah, I
that.
think we should be.
I think we should be fine. I've already sent the information to FSG. So yeah, so that was good news. And of course I did throw, a $13 million price tag out there for Fullerton Pike Phase 3. They're still going to work with me on that. I'm hoping to push to tie some more federal funds to that project, but so we're not out of hope on that one. So that's why I wanted to bring up
All right.
that federal funding could change. If you have any questions on, we do have a mediation for the condemnation tomorrow.
Okay.
I'm not sure the outcome of that. I just had received an email with concern about the mediation, and that the county wasn't taking it very serious because it's a Zoom meeting, but I just wanted to, say that we have requested continuously information through the condemnation process, through our attorneys, our counsel that we've hired for the condemnation. We have yet to receive that information. So that was the reason why the meeting has kind of turned to virtual, because we're not sure we can have really any mediation because there's still some unknowns out there that we're still waiting on information. So I just wanted it out there that the county isn't not taking this serious. We are taking this serious, but again, we have to have, because it's a virtual meeting. It was scheduled in April and it was supposed to be in person for mediation. But again, we've tried for months and months to get this information, and we've yet to receive it. So it's hard to negotiate, mediate without all the requested information that all the legal counsel wants to look at. So that's ongoing, the condemnation. But that's pretty well all I have on.
Okay.
anything.
Progress on other projects? How are we doing up north?
Sample Road.
Yeah,
We are doing the final walkthrough on
cool,
Monday.
good.
Sample Road.
Sample Road.
We have the final walkthrough scheduled for that. We've done a preliminary walkthrough with the contractor. We don't feel that there's going to be any outlying issues. We will do a Hunters Creek final walkthrough on Tuesday with NDOT to try and get that project closed out.
Okay.
Curry Pike, roundabout, that should be closed out. Vernal Pike, the Liberty Karst Trail Extension, that goes to letting in January. We did get actually NDOT to fund that one now up to an 80-20. And
Good. Sounds like we're doing
I
good.
can think of it, and a lot of bridge projects.
Yeah.
We have a lot of bridge projects going on. So yeah, I think that's the ones that's at the top of my head right now.
That's good. Thanks.
Quick question with regards to our Vernal Pike connector.
Mhm.
So, I mean, it doesn't go out to bid back again till December.
Mhm.
Long term, where does that go? Just stops at Vernal, or will that continue on at some point?
At this point, it stops at Vernal Pike.
The future, we'll just look at how the connections go.
So when I look out, I know every spring I'm asked to submit projects for infrastructure and of sort. And what do we see for the future? At this point in time, we have some existing roads that are in the west side tip that will need to be reconstructed due to the traffic that's been on these roads, preferably Curry Pike. There's some major reconstruction that needs to go on to those roads. It needs completely milled down. ADA compliancy work, drainage work. So that's my next project.
So these are like,
Curry Pike will have to be done in phases. It's 4 lanes. And you're looking at a typical road right now, it's 100 and just to pave a road, not reconstruct a road. You're looking at $115,000 a mile right now. That's 4 lanes and it's a very long road.
Yeah.
With 20,000 cars a day. Again, so it would have to be completely reconstructed. So it's my goal. Once we build these roads, it's hard to maintain them at that magnitude because Curry Pike is such a arterial road for the county. It would be my goal to phase in reconstructing phases over the next few years after this Vernal Pike connector project, taking care of the infrastructure that we've built.
is that MPO project kind of stuff?
The pardon?
Would that MPO get involved in that kind of reconstruction?
They could, their funds right now are allocated out to 2028. So
You don't
it could
wanna
be
wait that
something that we really don't want to wait that long, but it's not something that we can't throw a phase
Right.
in there, for reconstruction.
Okay.
So yeah, that's always a possibility, but it would be my goal after we get the Vernal Pike bid, see where our west side, funds are.
Right.
And also keeping in mind, I know there's other needs for the west side, tip, with the fire department. Those are things
Yeah.
that we don't forget.
Right.
So that's kind of my vision, for the west side tip at this point is
Okay.
since we have these connections built a profile parkway and we've invested into these Vernal Pike connector, now take care of one of the existing roads that was built through the TIF
Mhm.
and rebuild it.
Thanks. Jeff, anything?
Do you want to talk about the MPO funding? Did you put that on the one you put on the screen? The plan.
Oh, no, so we had, that's a good point. So I believe back in the spring, we brought the MPO staff, Patrick Martin, to discuss the 2050 transportation plan.
Yes.
And funding that, we did that in the past for the last transportation study that was done. It was estimated to be a $200,000 study. The city has committed in 2024 or 2023, 100,000 towards that study, and they had reached out to the county. We had originally come to the MPO to ask, or to the RDC to support that
Right.
study. However, I have gone ahead and put that into my local road and street budget.
Oh.
So I think that would help. One, it was helping the west side TIF, since we have the Vernal Pike. 2, and maybe that can move on with the fire department and not hold them
Right.
up over the next few months. So I went ahead and took that 100,000 and it's going to come out of one of my budgets.
Okay, good. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you.
Okay. Let me,
Public comments.
you mean you learned everything you came to
Not
learn?
everything, but slow learner. I'll have to be back.
Okay.
Gotta keep track of all the minutes.
Okay, Jim, do you have any closing comments or questions?
No, I don't. Thank you.
Okay, Iris, anything close?
Drainage, and, went through all my stuff on my TV and I was, several meetings that I had no stop again. But real concern on some of the things that come down. The big one, that really bothered me is the, doing a break. I just felt that too. There are road and, I didn't have a name for it. It's been something who's doing that. There's a awesome bit.
Okay, we,
It's a 12 inch.
Sudbury, is that Sudbury area? Is that-
Very.
Okay, so we just recently were contacted by Andrew Sabor, the city of Bloomington engineer, and asking if we were aware of the project.
It's gonna call you.
We had not been contacted on anything. I'm sure because it's coming off, it's within the city boundaries. But, and his concern was connections to maybe county areas in that area.
Right.
Or county connections.
It's part of, still part of the 12 French. They haven't adopted them. So that's good.
So we've asked to be included moving forward in the process and where that project stands. So if it does affect anything that's county around there, I believe it would to the south, then that we would like to be involved in that. So,
All right.
Well, I'm glad to hear that. I almost called you the next day and I got busy with something else, but I thought, well, I'll see you anyway.
yeah, we were very thankful Andrew reached out to us. He's the city engineer and he's great to work with.
Good, good. I'm glad to hear that. It's very, very problematic. This, and Richard mentioned earlier, they both have been, well, I was in the city council and I think you may have been trying to think about it, but they're dealing with the drainage over and that whole bridge across Second Street. They have to close that. They have to close it to go down and the proper drainage plans. That's a rough, potential. And I don't know if you saw the proposals they have, I have seen something proposed. I think it's a problem. And I think it's a problem that we all need to pay attention to our, you know, we may, or there could be. I don't know how.
46,000.
I mean, they have the road. And the other part of the problem, I'm gonna have to do about actually. Was complaints about people going big trucks coming from we don't know. That we can't state that. It's unacceptable, and I don't do the comparison. Repair that road or redo the road. They will have to do it, because we have to do it, right?
We only, we don't have, if Weimer Road is one of those that's half city, half county. So it's gonna have to be something that we work out together. A lot of times, you know, we can take pictures and things like that, see how the road is before they start construction and make sure it's put back. But then again, when you're adding 4,000 to 6,000 units onto a road that,
And
So- yeah, I would, yeah, definitely. So yeah, it's something that we just became aware of, that if there's anything that we can do and have an input on it, we will.
Well, I'll tell you, I'll play that back up when it's coming back up. Okay, I don't want to have it here, I don't want to have 2 yards, but I think it's too late. And I think it's something that I really need to get other people and say, maybe we can wait for that, but we get all the other developments. I don't even know if we can, afford it, but I didn't hear it say. Sorry.
Randy?
To your point, stormwater knows no political boundaries, whether it be city or county. It only knows topography. So consequently, taking into consideration the community as a whole, whether it be city, whether it be county, the undertaking of structures and items that protect our citizens as a whole is what we need to focus on. So
It's all gonna go down, all gonna go down to Indian Creek.
Yeah.
It's gonna go into Clear Creek or gonna go to Indian Creek, it's gonna go to a creek. We have had amazing weather these last month or so. We've had amazing weather the last month. And okay, and I have no further comments. I think we covered everything during the meeting. Next meeting will be August. Third Wednesday in August, whenever that. August 19th,
16th.
16th. August 16th. I may not be here for that. I will check. I'm gonna be on a vacation and I'm not sure I get back by then. Or that may be the day I get back. Let me verify and I'll send an email and we'll see if we need to do something. Okay. Lisa,
Thank you.
Lisa. Get your pen back. All right. I think we got all the signatures. All right. We have a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second motion, move, Stern. People get up and leave. Thank you, folks.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, Jim.
Yeah, I think it is in the past, it was a fishing act. Yeah.